guys, it's Miranda from My Sister's Bookshelf, and today I'm doing my weekly wrap-up for March, and this is week 1 of March. So I read 3 books in that first week of March. So these are the things that I read in the first week of March. The first thing I read was Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. This book opens with a man getting in a car accident, and then it flips to a woman who's in need of a job. And then she lives with her family. It's a really interesting story because it deals a lot with family issues. But then she ends up finding a job to care for a man who is in a wheelchair, and so it's about that. It's so good. I loved it. I probably didn't do it justice with just how I was explaining it, but I loved this book so much. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. When you read it, it is such a quick read. It's like, as soon as you start it, you don't want to stop it, and you will get through it so fast. Like, it's only about, it's less, let's see, yeah, it's about 369 pages. So, but once you start it, it's so good. I listened to the audiobook as well, and so if you are interested in audiobooks, I would suggest picking it up. I think it was a great audiobook. But I absolutely loved it, and I'm excited to go more into more of Jojo Moyes' stories. There is a sequel to this book, and I am on the fence whether or not I'm going to read it. And I'm not going to tell you why, because I don't want any spoilers. But once you read it, you'll probably understand what my struggle is. But this book was very, very good. The second thing that I read in the first week in March was Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. That book is a sequel to Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, and I think I liked the sequel a lot. It was just as action-packed as the first one, if not more. I think it might have been more action-packed. I thought that it was, very good. You know how sometimes the second book is kind of it drags on. This was very good from beginning to end. I really enjoyed it. It didn't take me long to finish it, or the beginning of the month. But yeah, Glass Sword is very good. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I think it was just as good as the first one. I did not read the novellas that are meant to go in between until now. I'm reading the novellas now. So I don't know if that made a difference, but I really liked the book. I really did. If you haven't picked it up already, I would pick it up. And the last book that I read in the first week of March was Modern Romance by Aziz Ansari. I hope I said his name right. But I really, really, really liked this book. It was, okay, I was expecting when I picked it up to be comedic memoir, and because that's what I thought it was, but it is not. That is not what it is. It is about, he's really taken a look at the modern, how in today's world we date, how we have relationships in today's world versus back in the day. And he went to retirement villages and asked people there how they fell in love, how they dated back then, and I mean, it was very, very good. And he even went around the world. He went to Tokyo. I just think that it was such a fresh and interesting read for me. I flew through it. It took me 2 days to read it, 2 sittings. I read it in 2 sittings. I thought that it was so good. I listened to the audiobook. That was good. It does have a lot of adult content in it because it talks about sex and how technology has kind of changed how people view it. It talks a lot about different stuff like that, and he does use adult language. He uses curse words. So if you're underage, think about that. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think that it was so fresh. For some reason, I enjoyed the first half a little bit better than the second half. Not really the second half. It's more like the last quarter of the book. And so I'm like, but it's just because I felt like it didn't pertain to me and that I wasn't that interested in that subject. But the writing was great. The research that he did was incredible. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars just because of the adult content and then because of that last quarter of the book. But I really enjoyed it, fully. I did. I thought it was really good. Well, that's all that I read for the first week in March. I am currently reading a couple of different things. So I'm hoping that I get those done by the end of this week, so that way I will have a couple of things to share for my week wrap up, or week 2 wrap up in March. So I'm still currently reading The Rosie Project, and I'm also reading The Cruel Crown, which are the Red Queen novellas. And then I also picked up on my Audible app, I also picked up an Alice in Wonderland. I picked up Alice in Wonderland because Scarlett Johansson is the one that is narrating it, and I thought that would be interesting, so I picked that up. And I also picked up 10,000 Skies Above You by Claudia Gray, which is the sequel to her first book, A Thousand Pieces of You. So I'm interested. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get to those things. I might not get to them this week, but I hope that I can at least start them. What did you guys read the first week of March? I hope you had as good of a week as I did. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.